There is a girl who is sitting in the class wearing a school uniform, and our story begins. As the class comes to an end, the teacher announces that today's homeroom is over and wishes everyone a nice day. A girl named Yuchin sits quietly in her chair, looking a bit sad and nervous. Suddenly, someone calls her name from behind. The person quickly approaches her with a cheerful expression, clearly delighted to see her. It's actually Yuchin's friend, Tach Chan, who calls out to her. She sits very close to her, causing Yuchin to start sweating nervously. Yuchin politely mentions that she's a little too close, but Tach Chan just gives her a sweet smile and in a cute tone says she felt lonely because they were apart. She asks how Tama can say that since they walked to school together. She quickly replies that they aren't in the same homeroom. Yuchin points out that it's no big deal since they were only apart for a little while. Hearing this, she looks surprised and asks what she means by that. In a serious tone, she tells Yuchin that childhood friends should never be separated, not even for a second, insisting that this is a rule in their town. Yuchin dismisses the idea, calmly stating that no such rule exists. As they continue their conversation, a few boys from across the classroom watch them with interest. One of the boys, with a sly expression, remarks that the cute girls seem to be getting close, and that no healthy boy could resist being attracted to them. Another boy, puzzled, asks what's gotten into him. Ignoring the question, the first boy starts moving toward Yuchin and Tama, his thoughts turning romantic. With a flirtatious smile, he asks both of the girls if he can join them. The other boys, noticing his approach, try to call him back, but he ignores them. As he gets closer to Tama, Yuchin is shocked and quickly asks him not to come any closer. Seeing the boy so near, Tama's expression suddenly changes, and her body starts to tremble as if she's having some kind of attack. The boys panic at her condition. They sternly tell the boy that they had already warned him not to approach her. They explain that she is having another seizure and instruct each other to administer a tranquilizer. Yuchin, equally concerned, watches anxiously. Meanwhile, Tama moves closer to Yuchin and clings to his arm with a look of desperation. The other boys observe the scene and feel reassured that she is calming down. With Yuchin acting as a soothing presence for her, they turn their attention to the boy who had tried to approach her, and in a stern tone, they demand to know what he was doing. They explain that she has a fear of men and that only Yuchin is allowed to be close to her. The boys are expected to keep their distance and observe from afar. They ask him again if he hasn't already been told to stay away from her. Feeling ashamed, the boy apologizes for his mistake. Meanwhile, Tama, still holding onto Yuchin's arm, confesses that she feels very scared. Yuchin is once again taken aback by her distress. To shift the mood, she quickly moves back and announces loudly that the next class is starting soon and they need to hurry and change. At first, Tama is surprised by his abrupt announcement, but she quickly understands. With an embarrassed look, Yuchin thinks to herself that things were too close. Now that Tama is completely at ease, she grabs her bag, gives Yuchin a sweet smile, and says they should head to the changing room. Yuchin responds with a warm smile, and they both make their way to the changing room. When Tama starts to change her clothes, Yuchin, looking slightly stunned, says she'll change in the toilet instead. Tama moves closer and comments that she always does that. Yuchin explains that she's changing in the toilet because she's too shy. Tama smiles cutely and says she is such a shy, adorable baby. After changing her clothes, Tama says goodbye to her and leaves. Once she is gone, Yuchin quickly heads to the men's bathroom to change. As she changes, she quietly reflects that she has a secret she can't share with her childhood friend and that she has no intention of ever revealing it. As she removes his shirt, she reveals with a serious tone that she is actually a cross-dressing boy. His body is clearly not that of a girl's but a boy's, meaning she is not a girl, but a boy who has been living with Tama as if he were a girl. Yuchin feels deeply ashamed and distressed, reflecting on how the day began with such intensity. He sadly wonders why he has ended up in this situation. He explains why he is cross-dressing. 8 years ago, Tama's family moved in next door. The girl who became his neighbor was always crying, and one day when he went to Tama's house, her mother kindly asked her to greet him. She, however, sadly said that boys were scary. He felt a deep sense of compassion and decided he wanted to protect her. To do this, he dressed as a girl and approached Tama, forming a friendship with her. In the present, he sits with a heavy heart, reflecting on the past. He realizes that 8 years have passed, and Tama still believes he is a girl. He comments that it's almost as if she is blind. He wonders if she truly can't tell the difference between a girl and a boy. He recalls that he tried to reveal the truth to her many times, but it never worked, and by the time he understood the situation, it had become chaotic. After that, he is playing badminton when Tama excitedly approaches him, asking if they can play together. He agrees and they face each other, ready to start the game. She grabs the shuttle and happily tells him that she's about to serve. However, when she hits it, the shuttle flies with such speed that it smacks Uchin hard in the face, causing him to fall to the ground. She rushes over, worried about him. Though he's in pain, he smiles and compliments her throw, joking that it was a great smash and that she could go pro. She apologizes, looking sad, and insists she's not that amazing, but thanks him for the compliment. He thinks to himself that he told this little lie to protect her, but it has created a new problem. She is always far too close to him, no matter the situation. Tama, still worried, comes up to him and gently asks if he's sure he's okay or if he needs her to take him to the infirmary. Uchin, surprised by her concern, feels embarrassed and quickly insists, a bit too loudly, that he's really fine and there's no need to worry. However, she calmly points out that his face is red. He reassures her with a smile, saying he'll be fine after a little rest. After that, he sits against the wall, trying to stay calm despite his nervousness. She stands on the court holding her racket with another girl facing her. Smiling brightly, she turns to him and asks him to watch her. He feels a bit confused, wondering if she's about to start another match. Then she begins playing at full force, moving with the grace and skill of a pro. The boys nearby watch in awe, stunned by her performance. They murmur in disbelief, admiring her beauty and remarking how tough it is just to watch her in action. In no time, she wins the match and excitedly announces her victory. She rushes over to Uchin, looking thrilled. He smiles and reassures her that she's truly amazing. However, once again, she's standing too close, making him feel uneasy. With a cute but sweaty face, she eagerly asks how her performance was and if she seemed cool. Nervously, he tells her that she was both amazing and cool, but adds that she's standing a little too close. She gazes at him for a moment before politely saying that maybe she really could become a pro. He reassures her that she'll definitely go pro, making her light up with happiness. She thanks him again before sitting down next to him and grabbing a water bottle. Feeling thirsty, she drinks in her usual cute way, then offers it to him. He politely declines, saying he's fine. As he watches her with a sad expression, he reflects on how he can stay close to someone he cares about, but he hides so much of himself. He thinks about how he likes to drink milk while half naked at home, enjoys the occasional dirty joke from TV shows, and even has occasional sexual thoughts about girls. He thinks to himself how hard it is for a normal middle school boy like him to keep lying to Tama. As they both sit in the classroom, he's lost in his thoughts, reflecting on everything. Suddenly, she calls out to him loudly, startling him. Confused, he asks what's going on. She points out with a playful tone that he shouldn't sit with his legs spread while wearing a skirt. It's a bit embarrassing. Realizing his mistake, he quickly apologizes and closes his legs. Gently, she asks if he's feeling okay, mentioning that he seems a bit out of it since most of the students have already left. She gently holds Uchin's face and says she needs to check on him. When she touches him, he's taken aback and asks her to wait. With concern, she asks if the hit still hurts. He reassures her that he's okay. She then leans in closer, her face near his cheek, and politely asks what he was thinking about earlier. He tries to brush it off, but as she moves even closer, asking about his posture while sitting with his legs open, he quickly pulls her hand away and insists that she's mistaken. He was just zoning out. She smiles and comments that he is so cute. He simply replies that he's not cute at all and asks her to stop teasing him. She insists that he's absolutely the cutest in the world and adds that she would be really worried if he didn't stay more alert because he's such a cute girl. He remains calm, knowing he's not actually a girl. She continues saying that being a girl is tough because men can be quite predatory, so he should be extra careful. She gives him a sweet smile and says she'll be the one to teach him everything he needs to know. He agrees with her. After a while, the school day ends and they stand outside their homes. With a cheerful smile, she says goodbye and mentions they'll see each other tomorrow. Uchin, in a simple mood, agrees. Once he gets inside his home, he feels a deep sense of unease. First, he sits by the door, feeling deeply sad. Then he moves to his room and collapses onto the bed, overwhelmed with embarrassment. His face is sweating as he reflects on surviving another day pretending to be a girl. Holding a cushion, he sadly murmurs to himself that he's not really a girl, just an ordinary boy. As he's crying, his phone suddenly rings with a message from Tama. She asks him to open the curtain. When he pulls back the curtain, he sees her standing at her window, smiling at him with a joyful expression. She waves cutely and thanks him for protecting her today in the message. Wuchen, feeling confused, thinks that maybe he still can't tell her the truth, but he wants to continue standing by her side and protecting her. He decides he'll wait for the day when he can be with her as his true self. She then closes the curtain and looks at her phone. She casually comments that he seemed cuter than usual today. Suddenly, her mood shifts, and she starts to feel her mouth watering. She thinks about how Yuchen's face was as red as a taco, with his shy and troubled expressions, all of which she finds endearing. She adds that he's just too adorable and wonders if he really believes she doesn't know the truth about him. She teases that he's a stupid cutie. In reality, she is aware that he is a boy, not a girl. She reflects that she's no longer afraid of men, finding them to be foolish beings instead. Her reason for continuing the pretense is to ensure Yuchen remains in his female disguise. She smiles with a devilish grin as she thinks about him. Meanwhile, at Yuchen's house, he feels confused and reflects on how today was another challenging day. He resolves to toughen up and continue protecting her the next day. While he's preoccupied with thoughts of her, Tom, on the other hand, is plotting how to tease him further tomorrow. With a mischievous smile, she admits that she can't wait for the next day. Actually, this is the matter of a girl and a boy, each hiding the truth from the other. The next morning, Yuchen wakes up feeling groggy while Tama, refreshed and energetic, stands by the window, gazing outside. Dressed in her school uniform, she smiles as she thinks about how to make Yuchen even cuter today. Excited by the prospect, her mouth starts to water again, and she fantasizes about getting even closer to him. However, she reminds herself to stay calm and not rush things. She knows she needs to keep the process gradual and steady. Meanwhile, Yuchen is getting ready at home, feeling disheartened as he wonders what misfortunes await him today. As he takes a bath, he reminds himself that all of this is to protect Tama. After dressing, he emerges from the bathroom to find his older sister sitting at the dining table, having breakfast. She calls out to him, playfully asking if he's planning to be cute again today. With a teasing smile, she adds that if he wants, he might get lots of lucky touches from the girls. Hearing this, he feels a surge of anger and tells his sister to stop with her teasing. He insists that he isn't dressing this way for any immoral reasons. He firmly states that he will maintain his boundaries with Tama as a friend and avoid any unnecessary physical contact. Reiterating that his actions are solely for moral reasons, he tells her he's heading out. Meanwhile, his sister remains seated at the dining table, calmly continuing her breakfast. After a while, Yuchen and Tama arrive at school. He sits a little distance away from her. Noticing this, she politely asks if the space between them feels too far. He is taken aback by her question. She then moves closer and inquires if this distance is acceptable to him when others approach. She also points out that he seems uncomfortable with people getting too close. He observes the distance, which is about a meter, and admits that he's quite shy about it. He then asks if she isn't standing too close to him. Hearing this, she replies with surprise, saying that such closeness is normal among girls. Yuchen, however, disagrees. She then asks him to observe the other girls in the class. As he looks around, he notices that the other girls are indeed very close to one another, with some touching and others sitting in each other's laps. Turning back to her, he politely acknowledges that she is right, girls do seem to be quite close with each other. She is amazed by his observation and excitedly says that she admires this kind of closeness and wants to try it herself. He is startled by her response, thinking that immorality is beginning to encroach upon him and that such physical contact is unnecessary. He manages to stay calm and explains that he's not very comfortable with it. Feeling his heart race, she responds with a knowing smile, saying she understands because he's a shy person. With a warm smile, he assures her that he doesn't want to force her into anything. She ties her hands in front of him and asks if she can hold his hands today. He is taken aback by the request. She then sits down in front of him and gently holds his hands with a cheerful expression. While she is delighted, Yuchen feels uncomfortable. With a look of wonder, she comments that she has always wanted to hold hands like this. Yuchen, puzzled, asks if this is something girls commonly do and whether it's usually reserved for couples. She teases him, saying that nowadays girls are quite progressive. He is even more surprised by her response and asks where she got such information. Tama, with a cute smile, comments that it feels like they are connecting with each other as they continue to hold hands. Yuchen, feeling both embarrassed and concerned, thinks that while he's happy if she is happy, the situation is still quite awkward for him. He politely asks if he's holding her hand too tightly, worried that his hands might be sweaty and bothering her. Meanwhile, she happily thinks that Yuchen's sweaty hands are perfect. She finds him to be really warm and wonders if he might be nervous. As she gazes at his face, she feels a romantic flutter, thinking that his awkward, shy expression is quite cute. When he looks at her, he sees her smiling, and he realizes that she is genuinely pleased. Although he finds the situation embarrassing, he reassures himself that if it makes her happy, he will do anything for her. After they finish holding hands, she sits on another chair and politely tells him that he needs to sit on her lap. He is shocked by this request and confusingly asks if they really have to do that like the other girls, and if he will be the one sitting on her lap. With a cute and smiling face, she replies with a yes. Yuchen, looking distressed, comments that he thinks this is too much. Hearing this, she begins to cry like a child and tells him that he had promised to do anything for her. He is stunned by how she knows his thoughts and asks her not to read his mind. He feels disheartened, thinking that in a classroom full of people, girls are incredibly bold. More importantly, he worries about what might happen if she discovers he is a guy. She might faint. Meanwhile, Tama, finding him warm and his scent lovely, eagerly anticipates the moment. She urges him to sit on her lap quickly. Despite his sad expression, he then realizes that instead of sitting on her lap, it would be better for him to sit first and have her sit on his lap. Considering this idea, he moves to another chair and clearly states that he will agree to the arrangement if he can sit first. She looks completely surprised by this suggestion, but eventually agrees. Calmly, she adjusts her skirt and turns her body to sit on Yuchen's lap. Watching her, he realizes that words can be interpreted in many ways. As she settles onto his lap, he is struck by how soft she feels and is taken aback. With a slightly sweaty face, she asks if she is too heavy. As he realizes that she is fully seated on his lap, his mind races. From every angle and through all his senses, this feels overwhelming. Seeing his calm expression, she asks if she is really not too heavy. Though she's speaking to him, he is lost in his thoughts. He is acutely aware that, as a guy, his crush is sitting on him. Suddenly, he regains his composure, remembering his sister's words urging him to be a man. Anger flares at the thought, mingling with his embarrassment as he struggles to control his feelings. His face is flushed and sweating as he tries to keep his composure. While he is lost in his thoughts, she suddenly exclaims with confusion that something is poking her on his lap. Startled, she quickly stands up, causing him to panic. However, it turns out to be nothing significant, just an eraser that had been poking her. She explains that she must have misplaced it earlier. As the school bell rings, they both leave the classroom and head outside. Tama, beaming with happiness, comments on how beautiful the sunset is. Meanwhile, Yuchen, feeling down, reflects on how the day has been another mess. As they walk home, she apologizes cutely for pushing him. He reassures her that he didn't mind at all. She is still excited and says it was a lot of fun and suggests they should do it again in their next class. He is taken aback but agrees. Tama, glancing at him, thinks that he was so cute she might have gone a bit overboard. As she is lost in her thoughts, he turns to her and extends his hand. She's taken aback but places her hand in his. While holding hands, he gently assures her that he is by her side. Tama, puzzled by his initiative, wonders why he is being so forward. Yuchen, with a sweet smile, asks if this gesture is considered normal for girls. She is delighted by this and says yes and hugs him warmly. He, once again surprised, reminds her that he had previously mentioned that this closeness was too much. Tama, feeling delighted, thinks to herself that she likes him more than anything and is determined to make him even cuter. They walk home hand in hand, enjoying each other's company. When he arrives home, his sister emerges from her room with a teasing grin. She playfully asks if he managed to keep his boundaries with Tama. Yuchen, feeling embarrassed, pleads with her to go easy on him. Seeing his flustered expression, his sister laughs at him. The next day, Yuchen and Tama are back in the classroom. As the school day ends, Tama, with a sweet smile, suggests that they should head home together. However, he declines and apologizes, explaining that he has errands to run today and that she should go home without him. He then moves closer to her, gently urging her to leave as he hurries away. She watches him with a puzzled expression, wondering about the errands he mentioned. Meanwhile, on the field, a group of senior students are gathered with a soccer ball. Their teacher informs them that today, first-year students are visiting their soccer club. He advises them to represent themselves well since they are the seniors. The seniors agree and nod in understanding. Soon, the first-year students arrive at the field. As the seniors observe them, they remark in amazement that the newcomers appear innocent and small. They comment that the first-year students clearly give off a typical first-year impression just by looking at them. Among the first-year students is Yuchen. He stands calmly as the seniors observe. The first-year students whisper among themselves, noting that they are beginning to feel nervous. One of them expresses hope that the visit will remain lighthearted. The teacher announces that it's time to start the introductions, beginning with the first-year students. Yuchen steps forward to introduce himself. He states his name and shares that he was part of a soccer club during elementary school. He concludes by saying that he is pleased to meet everyone. Upon hearing his introduction, one of the senior guys remarks that he remembers him asking them something before. Yuchen confirms this. The senior also comments that Yuchen is a girl. He reflects that he had anticipated this reaction but is still struck by how the people here don't seem to judge him, despite having worn a sailor uniform at that time. Sweating and feeling confused, he wonders about the general kindness everyone seems to have at this school. He also recalls that he has been interested in the soccer club since his very first day at school. However, because he had to maintain a girly facade in front of Tama, he never revealed his true self. Despite this, she has never perceived him as anything other than a girl, regardless of what he does. As he contemplates this, the teacher announces that it's time to start the usual routine. He adds that the first-year students will be participating as well. Yuchen feels a surge of excitement, thinking that this is exactly what he was waiting for, and he anticipates that the club activities in middle school will be more intense. The senior students pick up the soccer ball and begin playing with the newcomers. They play the game with a noticeable lack of skill, and Yuchen watches them closely. The teacher informs the first-year students, including Yuchen, that the senior soccer club is so inexperienced that they can't even perform basic drills properly. He adds that he hasn't played soccer himself for decades, so they should feel free to relax and enjoy themselves. One of the first-year boys quietly remarks to his friend that he's a bit disappointed by the situation. Then Yuchen takes the ball and starts bouncing it on his feet. The teacher, visibly pleased, comments that Yuchen is quite skilled. With a cheerful smile, Yuchen explains that his ability comes from his previous experience in a soccer club. The teacher announces that everyone should learn from Yuchen. The other students gather around him, and Yuchen asks if they are ready. He requests their patience as he demonstrates how to perform the techniques. He continues to bounce the ball on his feet and perform chest bumps with impressive skill, putting his heart into the demonstration. As he showcases his abilities, the other students begin to chat among themselves. One of them comments that a girl who seems shy but is actually good at sports is pretty impressive. Observing their reactions, Yuchen thinks to himself that no one has truly noticed him yet. The teacher announces that since the first-year students are present, they will start a small contest. The news lifts everyone's spirits. They all put on their playing shirts, including Yuchen, who agrees to participate but privately reflects that he was the worst player in his previous club. As he is lost in thought, two of the other students, Suzuki and Watanabe, call him over. He asks them about the matter. They approach him and inquire if he's not always with Tama. Yuchen realizes that they must know about his close relationship with her. Suzuki responds calmly, saying that he wants to be friends with Tama, but feels they can't get close to her. Yuchen is surprised to realize that Tama is scared of men. Suzuki continues, noting that they are also surprised to find out Yuchen likes soccer. He adds that if Yuchen decides to join the club, they will need to look out for each other. Yuchen is pleasantly surprised to realize that he's made his first soccer buddy since middle school. He agrees with Suzuki, who assures him that they will always support and cheer him on. As they start playing soccer, Yuchen feels a deep sense of happiness, thrilled to be playing the sport again after such a long time and to have made his first male friend since middle school. With a smile, he comments that it feels like he's reconnecting with his true self. The teacher blows the whistle for a break, reminding everyone to rest and drink water. Yuchen sits down, feeling tired but content. As he catches his breath, he reflects on the realization that in this moment he is truly being himself, both a boy and a soccer player. Yuchen, filled with excitement, realizes he was so absorbed in the game that he nearly forgot he had to maintain his girly act. He worries about the trouble it could cause if Tama saw him. As he's deep in thought, he suddenly notices Tama standing a little way off, watching him. He's taken aback, but sees that she is smiling and waving at him. The other guys, noticing Tama, quickly stand up and start playing with full intensity, eager to impress her with their skills. Yuchen approaches her and, trying to keep his voice polite, asks if she is here as well. He feels a bit anxious inside. When she calls him over, he quickly apologizes. In a serious tone, she tells him that he should have been honest about his reasons. She wouldn't have minded. With a sad expression, he apologizes again and asks if he didn't manage to act like a girl. Confused, she asks what he means. She then comments that she knows he joined the soccer club in elementary school and always brought rice balls. She tells him that she admired his effort, even when he was covered in sweat and wounds. She appreciates his dedication and adds that she really enjoys watching him play soccer. He is stunned by her words. As she looks at Yuchin's sweaty face, her eyes well up, finding him irresistibly attractive. Meanwhile, Suzuki, fully energized, announces loudly that he's about to strike the ball with all his power, promising that it will be spectacular. He moves quickly and kicks the ball with force. However, the ball veers towards Tama and Yuchin. As it looks set to hit her, Yuchin instinctively pulls her to the wall, shielding her with his body. He is startled by how close the ball came and remarks that it was very dangerous. Realizing how close he is to her, he quickly steps back, apologizing for the mistake. Despite his concern, she doesn't seem worried at all. With a cheerful smile, she comments that the ball was indeed close and thanks Yuchin for his help. She then asks if he is hurt anywhere. He replies that he is fine. She mentions that she needs to go home, and he tells her he needs to return to his team. He waves goodbye, saying they will meet tomorrow. As he rejoins the other guys, they urge him to apologize to Tama on their behalf for the incident with the ball. He reassures them that Tama isn't worried about it. He is thrilled that Tama hasn't noticed he's actually a boy, but he can't shake the feeling that it was a missed opportunity. Meanwhile, Tama, after saying her farewells to the other girls, heads home. She changes into comfortable clothes, has lunch, and then relaxes in the bathtub. As she sits there with water droplets glistening on her face, she thinks about the moment Yuchin shielded her from the ball. She feels a warm, positive emotion towards him, appreciating his protective gesture.
Here I am, know it's been a while.